All right. Welcome to the fourth and final game of the evening. Up this time is content warning. Um, so you might, the audience here might be familiar with content warning when I think about it, but in case they're not, film your friends doing scary things to become SpookTube famous. Strongly advised to not go alone. I mean, putting that aside, get famous or die trying. Content Warning is a co-op horror game where you film spooky stuff with your friends to try and go viral. Step 1, go down into the old world. Step 2, film something scary. Step 3, upload to SpookTube. And Step 4, profit. I am genuinely surprised they did not do the full underpants gnomes meme.
Indeed.
Because, well, it feels like they should have. But regardless. So yeah, content warning is ostensibly a co-op multiplayer horror game, but it's more a, how do I put this? Meta-viral simulator. Like, you know, it seems to me the intent of this game is to, well, do in the real world what people are doing in the game. That is, filming content for the views and thus becoming a viral sensation.
Oh,
And
hail
thus
the algorithm.
profit. I'm assuming this is the impetus behind making the game free for the first 24 hours, which is where
Right.
at least one of these copies came from.
Yep.
Like, so.
Eddie, I just heard you say. I think I heard you say something on the stream.
Yeah,
and I
no,
was
it
not
was
hearing you in
because
the headset.
I understand. I flicked the wrong button.
Okay, I just wanted to check that as soon as I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. So, this is essentially YouTube reaction fodder, if I'm being honest.
I mean, basically.
You know, a lot of horror games in the modern age are like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's less about, providing a compelling horror tension and more, getting influencers to make funny faces at your game.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, that's how a couple of horror games have gotten big over the years.
Mm-hmm. Something. The Markiplier effect.
Like, I think that happened with Phantasmophobia a few years back.
Yeah. Phantasmophobia, Freddy's.
Mm-hmm.
The list could probably go a mile down the street.
Yeah. You could probably trace this all the way back to Amnesia. The Dark
Probably.
Descent. It's just, this is fairly blatant about it, but paradoxically, it's not as cynical as I thought it would be. Like, there's definitely a tinge of cynicism in the metatextual narrative here. You are doing the thing that in the game that you are trying to do in real life, presumably, or at least one of the goals of content warning. How that's working out, I don't know, but it must be having some effect, because I got a ad on YouTube with a stream that had content warning on it. So clearly this game is getting some kind of exposure. But that aside, how does it work as a horror game? It's hard to say. Like, here's the thing. Multiplayer horror is kind of hard to do. You know, like this, I think it might be dependent on the kind of friends you have. Because a horror experience can be ruined by a smart ass or a dumbass or, some kind of ass that's, not working in the confines of the tension.
Hi, I am that ass.
Yeah. Granted, I don't think that content warning was actually scary.
Like, a lot of the streams, like, if you
Um,
actually start getting into it, you can possibly get scared by it at some points, but I can kind of see that.
Yeah, I'm not convinced we made it physically far enough to get to any of the actual scary bits.
I mean, we got to what would be to the easily scared, certainly scary bits. I mean,
We
certainly what
got
happened to
gunned down
me,
on the last run.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, what happened to me? I got snatched and eaten in like 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That's some horror movie shit right there.
And I guess there is also the added quote-unquote tension with the oxygen meter.
Yeah. Like, this game is making an earnest attempt at horror. I'll give it that. I think the problem is the art style.
Yeah.
Like the avatars here. They're way too Fall Guys or Among Us.
Looks like Fall Guys and Among Us had a kid.
Yeah. To be genuinely scary. Unless this is a game that's being aimed for kids. And from what I've seen, it doesn't appear to be the case. I know. I'd experiment more with that, but I don't want to have to deal with screaming and nightmares.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe if this was like 5 years from now or something like that.
Well, if my nephews and niece were a bit older.
Yeah. Like, my niece could probably be fine. She's going to be like 14 in a few months.
Yeah, maybe my oldest nephew, he's 11. He could handle this. My niece, my younger nephew and niece are in the single digits, so
yeah, definitely not that.
Like I said, I don't want to risk it.
Well, and there are some intense parts, like through the trailer footage. There was kind of like a saw, like contraption thing that we didn't get to, but I'd imagine that might be a little intense for the younger crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, this seems to be aiming towards like the Five Nights at Freddy crowd, or like older teenagers, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, not even just older teenagers. Early teens, it'd probably be fine, but I wouldn't go much younger than early teen. Once you're out of the age where you're easily, like, nightmares and stuff like that, you're probably fine with this.
Especially with as many social media elements to it as this game has.
I mean, it's basically TikTok.
I'm like, right. But it's also, very modern living, let's say. Because, look, this is basically a show on the Sci-Fi Network. I'm
Yeah,
not joking.
probably.
Yeah,
Sci-fi,
the
maybe
fucking-
Travel Channel.
Ghost Hunters.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah. I'm like, only this one's more credible. Once again, I'm
Fair.
not joking.
I'm aware.
Like,
When you can actually see the fishing line.
right. I'm like, anyway, it definitely works for its intended purpose, I guess. I just don't think we're really the audience to make the ultimate judgment call there.
Yeah.
Because,
Like, it's a fine game, especially if you got it when it was free and have a few buddies.
Yeah. But, even if you didn't, the game, like, once again, which says to me that they really want this in the hands of the young, because it doesn't cost much.
And there's no
also-
microtransactions.
Yeah, there's no actual microtransactions. They've got pseudo microtransactions, for lack of a better term. Like they've got hats you can buy with the in-game currency.
Yeah.
It's just the in-game currency is literally the in-game currency. It's not currency.
You can't pay $5 actual dollars to get 100 in-game dollars or whatever.
Yeah, I'm like, so
you have to earn the content as it should be, but that's a rant we've already been on.
Well, it's also that gives away the origins of this game. It's a PC title. It's something that was that's built for the PC. Even like Among Us has microtransactions in it because it was, and it got big on mobile, and you can play it for free. It's just it needs to make money some way.
Yep, because ads don't quite do it.
Yeah,
Among Us doesn't have much in the way of microtransactions. It's mostly in-game battle
It's
pass
not
type stuff.
much, but there's enough that a small child could rack up a pretty heavy amount if the parents were not paying attention.
Right.
Ask me how I know.
I'm like, I think I would have to ask my brother about that because that is definitely a thing that could have happened. Because
let's just say my niece got her tablet privileges revoked for a few months after that fiasco.
Yep, sounds about right. But in the case of content warning here, it will just set you back a mere $8 at full price, and right now it's 20% off, going for $6.39. So, the overall point is that they want this in hands, because at that price point it's very easy to buy. Had this come out about 10 years ago, I guarantee you there would have been a 4-pack version of this.
Oh yeah, I miss the 4-pack versions.
I do too. Like it made buying things like this so much easier. But yeah, and apparently content warning is now paid after being apparently it's been claimed over 6 million times according to the news feed on Steam. Like, so once again, the free promotion had an impact.
Yep.
Like, how much probably remains to be seen.
And I will say, it looks like there are some streamers I watch who have played the game on stream, and it looks like they have added new content since last time I saw it streamed. So that is good. They're still working on the game.
Yeah, like this seems like the kind of game where you would probably need to work on new content, like just to keep it fresh. If not new content,
you can't have people grind for hats forever.
Yeah.
Are you sure about that? Looks at TF2.
Not a game like this.
They kept adding new hats to that one.
I know that was mostly a joke, but yes.
Anyway, like if not new content to this, then a content warning too. You do it like Five Nights at Freddy. You just keep churning out the sequels.
To go back to for younger, looking at the specs for this is definitely like you'd give to your hand-me-down PC to, the niece or little brother.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, once again, it remains to be seen what the plans are. I mean, I have reached out to the publisher of the game. I would reach out to the developer, but I'm not exactly sure how to do that since they've got like 5 people individually listed here.
Yeah, and it's one of those, I really wish Steam would make it easier for media people to contact devs and publishers through Steam.
You're telling me. But at the very least, I have reached out to Landfall. We'll see if anything happens there. In the meantime, it's a fine game for what it is. It's just not our kind of game. Usually,
I wish there was some kind of like single player-ish component.
Yeah. I like horror games, but multiplayer horror, not really my thing.
Yeah.
I find horror needs to be, experienced alone or I guess with a date. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, like I said, I wish I could say more about this, but it kind of I've kind of said what I need to say here. Sometimes, anyway, so yeah, I think that'll about do it for this review session.
Woo!
Yep. So, yep. We have officially kicked off Season 20. And speaking of that, the week ahead. Right. So, bit of last-minute rescheduling because, we were supposed to have our good friend John Pickett of Manga Gamer launch Season 20 with us. But he had... he requested another delay because... Manga Gamer has projects they're not ready to be talked about yet.
Shock.
I'm actually kind of shocked because usually by now they have things to talk about. It's May. Hopefully they get the green light by their licensors in August. That's been when that's been rescheduled too.
Well, I mean, technically there is stuff we haven't talked about, but I don't feel like getting banned on Twitch.
Well, it's also... Well, the big things is that they're doing collections of Higurashi and Umineko, and we've talked about those franchises several times.
At nauseum, yes.
So, there's like one new licensee that they're doing, and I think we've talked about Steam Prison.
Yes.
So that's my point. There's literally nothing new for us to talk about. So in lieu of that, we're doing another reaction video. In this case, Fragments of Silicon will be reacting to the retro CDI infomercial, A Day with Sid, Ed, and CDI from 1995. So this is in the more desperate death throes of the CDI.
Desperate, looking from the brief bit I looked at on it, desperate might be the undersell of the fucking week, brother.
Oh, this is amazing. And they were not the only company to do this at this moment in time, because it was either we do the CDI infomercial or we do the Jaguar infomercial. And the coin toss picked the CDI.
Yeah. Still. We'll be going to Jaguar hell soon, don't worry, friends.
Yeah. Next time we have one of these, we're going to the Windows 95 well.
And I know I've watched that before.
You knew it was going to come up.
I was hoping you wouldn't forget. I knew it had to happen.
You mentioned Windows 95.
I
wanting to do
know,
Windows
and I
95.
literally heard the monkey's paw curl as soon as I mentioned it.
I'm like, you got your wish.
Yes.
But that is next time. This time we'll be looking at watching the CDI trying to compare itself to VCR repair. I'm not joking. Like, so that'll be fun. Like, and as far as MSP goes, that will also be launching season 18 this week. Like, the good news there is the guest has confirmed he said he would be there, quote, by hell or high water, which I hope is the case, because he's the guest who forgot he was on that particular week.
Oh.
Yeah. So hopefully I will be reminding him
frequently throughout the week.
Yeah. So with that in mind, there is no Friday show this week. So until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.